Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Taya and this is Granola, my coffee core forever island. And look, there's something maybe in the air right now, but I'm feeling reckless. I'm feeling reckless and vindictive. So I'm demolishing my almost completed coffee core island. It's pretty well done almost, but I'm not vibing with it. And the previous version of this island was Retirement Forest, and I was obsessed with that layout. I already have the dream address out, the tour is out for that island. I love it. And do I want to replace it with something that's just like not as good for the sake of wiping the slate clean and moving on? Not really. I want to do coffee core right. It's been a theme that I've really been enjoying, honestly, and it's cute. It's just like, I want to make a fall island with orange and green and yellow tones with all these dark, rich browns and like the colors of coffee. That's what I want for this island, and I want it to be amazing. I tried to do this like tiered takedown of my first theme, transitioning it from Retirement Forest into coffee core, and it just didn't really work, honestly. For anybody who's thinking about starting a forever island and like doesn't know like how that tear down rebuild process happens, it sucks. Spoiler alert, it's kind of the worst. The main issue that I have right now is that my storage is absolutely crammed, or it was. Here's some footage of me yesterday removing about 1,000 items from my storage. So here is what the map looks like right now on Granola. I'm loving the villager lineup so far. Just pretend that Eunice, Elise, and Deirdre are not there. Just kind of crop them out and get a load of that color palette. It's Gorgina. You know what? I feel like yapping. I don't know why. I don't know where this energy is coming from, but I'm gonna yap. This is what the map is looking like right now. I like it. It's interesting. It's good, but it's too la 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 la. There's stuff everywhere. It's annoying. Like, I have this office building build, which I thought would be cute. Turns out it's just a dead area on my island, and I feel like I could do an office build in a better way to make it so that my villagers would want to like walk through it, or that it would be a regular part of the island. It wouldn't just be like a dead area on my— that's a large space to just have be like nothing. I like the shopping district, but it's kind of clunky to have this giant areas that I'm going to keep in the next version of this map. The bakery area is going to stay the same. That bakery build that I did, I love. I also kind of love my rock garden situation, so I'm gonna keep the rock garden. All the other areas are probably just gonna be recreated in a different way, but I don't really have like a firm attachment to them being exactly where they are. Like, I do not want to move them, type of deal. So I'll put it on screen right now. This is the map that I am shooting for. It might not look familiar to too many people, but this is actually very closely based off of my first islands map. And let me tell you about Glenny's map, okay?
Strap in.
I worked on this island before I even had a Switch. Before I even was playing Animal Crossing, I was thinking, dreaming, but this time I'm gonna make it better because I know more. I'm gonna eliminate some of the dead areas that I had on Glenny. I'm gonna upgrade it. I called Granola because it started with a G, and for whatever reason, I needed an island to start with a G. Let's just do a quick tour of this island the way it is right now. Elise, if you could get a thought bubble ASAP, that would be splendid. She's the star of this island. Truthfully, Elise is like the main character. This is the entrance area. And then over here, I have the bakery. So the bakery is gonna be staying identical. The peninsula build as well. This is one of my favorite areas on Granola for whatever reason. It just feels very coastal, but cozy coastal. And then I made this like little kind of porch balcony area next to this, and I just love it so much. Also this tiki bar I'm obsessed with. I think it's like really shabby chic and cute and just feels so like organic, and I adore it. So that's not moving at all. I don't exactly know what I'm doing with this little area, but it's kind of been just temporary flower storage kind of thing, so I'm not too worried about that. Kyle's bakery. I do adore the color schemes and everything of this bakery, but it will be demolished. Yes, it will be, because one thing that's going to happen is there's going to be an incline right about here to go up to the second level, and then there will be an area going along this side still as well. So this is the school zone. I really do like the school, but I think it needs to have its own moment. Like, you can't really see it too well, and that's what I wanted. I did want this, okay? I wasn't like under any illusions when I was creating this. I wanted it to be like a school that's in the middle of town, like in the middle of a city, making the city feel like it's historical and like, you know, of a time. But it just feels cramped over here. So yeah, we need to do something different with that. Coming through the entrance again, down onto this beach. I am going to demolish this beach, although I really do like it, but I just need more space to put villager homes down potentially, so maybe I won't. I really like this yoga beach. Dang, why am I so attached to the beach builds on this island? It's crazy. Maybe this side. Anyways, we'll have to find room for everybody on the beach as I flatten this island. We have a cat cafe over here, which I do love, but again, it's a dead area. It's just an indoor-outdoor build. I do like it, but I never find myself coming here to check it out. It's just like a random area that I knocked out, and then I was like, okay, we're done. I love this pharmacy, but I can always rebuild the pharmacy. This canal actually is going to stay mostly intact. I'm probably going to be demolishing just the final bridge here, because then the terraforming will go up and the canal will kind of continue up onto the second level. This museum build is pretty cute. I actually really do enjoy it, especially when you put the camera up high. Let's just take a little photo for memory's sake, because I do like it a lot. There are things that I want for this island that are different than this. I got points. One thing I need on this island is Nook Miles points. Let me tell you, I have barely any. It's like crazy. I'm kidding. Oh, look, it went up to an even number. That's satisfying. Up from that canal is my shopping district. It's just meh, but here it is. And then down here onto this beach, which is like, it's cute, but I will demolish this beach. We have my rock garden, which I am obsessed with. I really love that rock garden. This island theme doesn't even need purple flowers. So tell me why I have so many purple flowers. It's just absolutely unnecessary. Plus yellow and white flowers. Girl, you can plant those. Those aren't even hybrids. So anyways, that's a big area that I need to kind of clean up. And up here, actually, let's just dip into the library real quick. A little north of the cat cafe, we have a very tiny library. This used to be a lot bigger, and then I cut the build pretty much in half. I do run through this area quite a bit because it has 2 entrances, and I really do love that. I think the more entrances that you can have into a build, like villagers come into here, like they come through here, there's enough space for them to walk through, which I realize it's more important to me as I continue to play this game. Up here is the museum like we saw from that view. I even have the little memorial garden for all of my retirement villagers. So these are all my retirees from the first version of this island. We're still waiting for Deirdre, Elise, and freaking Eunice to ask to move out, and then we'll complete our garden, but that is, you know, an ongoing project. And then we have a little hiking trail back from here. It actually has a little additional hiking trail that leads to a duck pond, which is very cute. I really do like it. Another little tiny beach build that's probably gonna stay just because it's been here forever and it's cute. A little wood chopping moment, a little, you know, woodsman little section here. And then you come back onto the main trail and we have a diagonal bridge, and I really do like this view. but it's gonna go. We are gonna have a hiking trail on this island again, don't get me wrong, because I really do like the idea of having a hiking trail on a coffee core island, because that just feels so cozy to have a coffee and to just go for a walk in the woods is such an iconic thing to do, especially in the fall. Let's go check out who this campsite villager is. I'm actually really excited. Please be Opal, please. This is Elise's house, and we have a little area for like kind of doing some boat reconstruction. And this secret beach is a little painting area. And then we kind of get into this like coffee cup terraforming. I made this like giant swirl. I made this swirl here of steam. And as much as I look, okay, I like map art, but I would rather have a functional island, to be honest, than have map art. There's Bee. Is she tending to her flowers? That's so sweet. Bees. It's the bees. Smile, girl, smile. Okay, there you go. Anyways, Bee is adorable, and this is her house. I just finished this cul-de-sac area, and I really do love this cul-de-sac area. But unfortunately, it will have to go. And then we have Jitters' little like coffee plantation area, a little spot to look out to the other islands in the back there, and then Anacottie's little vegetable farm, and a place for Buzz to just sit and rest and judge everybody. We also have a little park. I love this park, and I definitely want to create like an even bigger area that's just literally a park. I think that'd be so cute. We have a little construction area, and then the construction area leads back down, hey Elise, back down to like the resident services area and my house and the school. But to the right of this little park, we do have Eunice's house and a little pond. And then, we have the office build, which never quite, I like it, but it just never quite did 100% of what I wanted it to be honest. I mean, this whole island is like practically finished. It's actually crazy that I'm like, and I'm gonna take it down. But that's why I'm doing a tour right now. That's why I'm updating you on what the island looks like, so that when I demolish it, I know I've got a record of what it looked like. And that's all I need from this island, honestly. There's a little cafe in the office. There's like a little receptionist area, a lucky cat. And then you come up here, and the first thing you have is the CEO's office, of course. They have like a lot of bookshelves and a little laptop moment. Somebody's coming in with deliveries here. Then we have the bathroom. This bathroom is so cute. I really love it a lot. And then we have the bullpen. What bullpen? I started adding like a divider between each of these, like the little cubicle areas, but it just felt weird. And I mean, indoor-outdoor builds, like they can work, and I do. Man, it sucks because I do like this build. It's just not doing anything for me anymore. And here we have the little break room with, you know, a little couch, old couch here, and a karaoke machine, some magazines, a little place for somebody to eat, and a fridge and sink that probably reek. And then we have the conference room, of course, with a fax machine, little conference computer, a whiteboard, and some snacks for the people who are visiting. Little umbrella stand, and that's pretty much my office build. Damn, man, walking through my office again, I'm like, I really love that, but I can do it better. I know I can do it better. And that's the point, is like, I love this game, and I love the first version of this island so much that I'm not willing to overwrite it just for the sake of getting this island done and moving on to the next theme, because I'm really not quite ready. The next theme that I want to do, spoiler alert, is romantic, kind of like a Valentine's island, just basically pink and red with a lot of hearts. But I want to just have that version of the island be like a cutesy second version of Coffee Core, just with more pink and red. Like, I don't really want to change the island that much after I get this layout. Like, this layout I want it to be delicious. Am I doing this because I'm anxious because I haven't gotten any villagers to move out recently and I feel like I want to disrupt their entire lives? Yes, as I said at the beginning, I'm feeling vindictive. And then we have a totally empty beach over here, nothing going on, lots of space for villager houses. And coming down here, we have another little tiny farm area with some sugarcane and Timbra's house. And then we're back. We're back at Resident Services where we started. I'm just gonna start demolishing. I'm gonna turn off my camera. We're gonna get into as much demolishing as we can today. Probably do cute little voiceover moment. Continue to absolutely yap your ear off. If you're down for that, stick around. The key to this, of course, is maintaining momentum. And I have momentum now. So I think what I'm gonna do is tear down the largest section of my island that does not involve moving any buildings, but I am going to move my house and a villager house and demolish at least one thing today. So let's get into it. Exciting. I'm gonna put on a podcast and start this tear down. Okay, see you soon. Hey everyone, it's Taya from a week into the future from when this first recording was recorded. It's actually amazing, but I did it. Rewatching me and editing this all back has been such a journey. Like, I think I finished, today is Friday, I started it last Friday, the teardown, and I started editing this video on like Tuesday or Wednesday. Anyways, it's been a journey. Please remember to like the video. I'm gonna be putting in timestamps for like where I was doing what. Even if you want to skip ahead because this part is going to be long, I do argue that it is very satisfying to see me tear down this island, and I really did not cut a lot of footage. You're seeing me picking up every single item. The only part that I kind of time travel through is adding in all of the inclines and all the villager houses back on, because that part took the longest. But right now, let's just put myself in the past. Oh, how was my mindset? How was my mindset going into this? I came into it hot. I came into it like a lightning bolt, just being like, let's get into it. It took me about a day or so, which is why I did the inventory emptying first. And then I did log on a couple of times to play and just didn't feel like I was up to starting this process or doing the tour so that I could actually allow myself to get into it. Once I did the tour, I had already hyped myself up so much to just get right into this process, just get it going. And like I was saying, I think I said before, I actually wanted to start with an area that didn't have any villager houses. It was just basically purely build, just furniture items. And that was the Cat Cafe. So the Cat Cafe was the first place to go. It's honestly, of all the visited places on my island, it was probably the area that I spent the least amount of time in. Even the office build, I would go back in and just chill in there and like looked, and sometimes I did catch a couple of villagers going into the office build. But the Cat Cafe, I completely walled it off, like it was not an area that villagers could go in. Do I know why I chose to do that? Absolutely not. It doesn't make any sense at all, but that's what I did. Now, as far as like trees and shrubs and flowers, I'm not saving any trees at all. I don't save a single tree because I know I can replant them. On Treasure Islands, there are like trees grown at different stages too. So I'm gonna add those back as I begin to build up these areas again. So for the most part, I'm just axing them down and collecting the resources from them. As I said before, I have way too many non-hybrid flowers already, so I am collecting the hybrid flowers. Orange, you know, green mums, that kind of thing. I do keep some yellow flowers as well. I think I need to look up more of a cohesive color palette for this island in the future, but I am, you know, kind of turning over a new leaf, so to speak, with this island, and I'm very excited about it. The library, I definitely want to rebuild. I had a very big version of this library at one point, and I want to recreate it with like with all the different entrances and everything. And for the most part, I'm cutting out whenever my pockets get full and running back. But for these first little times, I wanted to just show you that I am doing that, of course, every time. And now I'm kind of starting to cut that out of the edit just so that we can have it be a little bit more seamless. But I do jump around a lot. And if you notice that I go from like one area and then I'm picking up items in a completely different area, that is totally why, because I've emptied my pockets and then I'm starting out again in a new location. And this is when it started to feel really real for me. Like when I started picking up items on top of that second level where my house originally was, that was when I was like, oh, I'm actually fully doing this. I'm actually fully taking this down. And as you saw, I did remove my pipe from over there, from behind resident services. And I do end up leaving the trees from resident services and that little couple rows of fencing, just because I think it's nice to have something else between resident services and whatever terraforming. I tend to terraform behind resident services. I think I only haven't terraformed behind resident services like 1 or 2 times on an island. I think on Okanda, my Canada Core island, was one of the only times that I ever didn't terraform immediately behind resident services. I skip over a little bit of time here where I do create a tiny little workshop area for myself at the bottom of what will be an incline in the future. I put a little ABM, I put a little workbench. This is like a classic build for me, really. And I do have another area actually proposed in my mind for this build to go eventually. I kind of like it here though, honestly, just right beside resident services, a nice place to go, get some bells out if I need to, and a nice little like drop location. So there you can see it there, and I'm marking out where the incline will go between this little area, as well as building up some terraforming. And it did take me a little bit of planning to see like where I wanted this incline to line up so that it brackets resident services rather than being kind of like behind it awkwardly and then going up, where you can't really get a viewpoint because the build is behind resident services. Now you'll actually have inclines on either side. I think it makes a lot more sense personally. So I think I said like flattening, or I used the term flattening for this island's kind of like rebuild, but I do not understand how people, like, if you have been a person that has flattened your island before, how do you get through that? I find like building it up is even more kind of like tiring sometimes. And once the island is like all the way flat, it's like, where's my starting point? So I am just tearing down what I need to tear down and leaving all of the areas that will become part of this map in the future, so that I don't have to rebuild, because I do have the map plan already established, already ready to go before I even started recording this. So yeah, I really don't know how people do it to flatten their whole entire island, but I also can see that that works for some people because they want to start from a blank slate, which totally makes sense too. It's just, for me, I need to like optimize my terraforming so that I don't burn myself out. Even this, I fully know that the only reason why I was able to maintain momentum with this project is because I felt like very driven to do it, and I did it very quickly. Like, I did this over the span of like a few days. On Sunday, I did record for like 6 hours, so it was a lot. Like, I didn't do anything on Saturday, but then I recorded for like a long time on Sunday, and I just kind of went with my gut, like whatever I felt like working on that day. Some days I only worked on it for like half hour, but everything kind of like built up and I was able to accomplish it because I was just like super motivated to do it. Another side benefit that I really did not consider when I first started tearing down the island is how many custom designs I would be removing from the ground, and kind of gives me a chance to like start over a little bit with custom designs. I did end up deleting a whole 9-tile path that I didn't really use that often. And once I saw that I didn't really use it that often and I had removed it all from my island, I just deleted it, and that's, you know, now it's gone and I can make room for other things too. And here I just left in a little bit of my flower management. I did remove all of these purple flowers, and from the beach as well, I have these blue flowers down here and some pink ones a little bit further up. So I did do a lot of that off camera, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of like a, yes, that was kind of a journey, because 2 green mums make a purple mum, and then I just have so many of them because I have so many green mums on this island. Anyways, it felt really good to clean up this area and get it a little bit more sorted out. And I was back to this area beside Timbra's house, which had a lot more to clean up than I thought. Some of the areas that I was like kind of dreading the most to clean up were the fastest, like the office building, for example, because it was mostly furniture. It took me no time at all. But areas that I underestimated a lot, like the hiking trail and this little spot that had a lot of plants, took me a lot longer than I anticipated originally, which is something that I would say for anybody else who's planning on like tearing down their island. I mean, I am such a chronic restarter. I don't really necessarily, this is my first ever island that I've had multiple themes on. I do highly recommend it. I've really enjoyed having this island and changing up the theme and having it be more permanent and not just like letting go of it super quickly. Don't know why I got hyper fixated on fixing this path, but just the shape of it was so like ugly to me. I had to fix it like right away because it was bothering me. So I did get a little bit distracted at times, but mostly I was hyper focus mode. Let's get back into it, little mini Taya. Oh, she just gotta do it, right? Like, I can't control her. She's in the past. One thing about mini Taya is she's gonna do what she wants right now. And the moment has come, everybody. The little worm pond is going away. And this is an instance of sometimes you have to like, what's that saying? It's kind of a brutal saying, but it's like kill your darlings or something. But like sometimes the thing creatively that you really like, or the thing that you're just hyper attached to, is actually the thing that is holding you back from being creative truly. Or like that one chapter in the book that you're writing, for example. I'm not a writer, but I'm just using it as an example. That one chapter in the book that you're writing is the reason why you're just getting held up and you're stuck on it. If you were to just remove it and like reimagine it without that one chapter, could it still work? Is it even a better product than you could have even thought? That's this worm pond. After all that, the worm pond is my darling that I had to destroy in order to be my best creative self on Granola. And you can see me checking the map a lot right now because I'm trying to get the spacing for where this terraforming will go up and connect with the back area of the island. So we're just getting that all built up. This was exciting too because it was the first like really big step towards getting the final terraforming in place and like building up and connecting these areas. It's a big space that connects all the way to the back of the island, and we're about halfway across the island right now, maybe a little bit more than halfway, a little bit more north than south at this point on my island, but it still is a lot of terraforming that needs to connect back all the way to the end of the island. Even while editing this, I'm like, why did you run over here now? You were doing something else over on the other side of the island. All of a sudden, I'm just like, you know what? I need to do this museum area. That's what I'm hyper fixated on. I think overall, the best way that I like to do terraforming, especially big projects like this, is I do the outline of them. So I'll get this first like line of terraforming in place so that I can see how the flow is gonna go before I fill it in. And then I'm like, oh, I hate the overall outline of that. And besides just jumping back and forth between builds, sometimes I would get hyper fixated on a little tiny area like this, where I wanted to save this tree. So I put the tree in, and then I put the stunting tree in, and then I put a custom design path there, and then immediately cover that custom design path that I just put in with the terraforming that I always knew that I wanted to do. So, I mean, it's fun though, honestly. Even watching this back, I'm like, it is satisfying that I came so far and that my terraforming looked like such garbage for so long. I did take a lot of screenshots throughout this process and put them together into like a little, you know, a little GIF so that I could put them together and see that little transition. It's pretty fun. It was at this point that I started to get a little anxious, and I just wanted to like time travel and move some houses because a lot of the bridges and inclines were getting in the way. So I'm time traveling a lot and just demolishing and then building up, you know, moving the campsite, moving island homes onto beaches, museums, all of that. In order to place the museum, I had to adjust the terraforming just ever so slightly. I think I actually do end up putting that little row of terraforming back now that I'm seeing it all back again and again, this epic long video. Thank you so much for watching, by the way. I really do appreciate it. And I don't know, maybe this is not something like I was about to do one of my pet peeves when YouTubers are like, I don't know if anybody cares about the. Clearly you're watching this right now, so you have some vested interest in my island, and I'm really, really grateful for that. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, moving around these tiny little builds so that I have more of a cut through. Going to the next day, okay, removing the shop and building up a lot more terraforming below between resident services. The inclines, I don't know why I didn't just continue to time travel and move inclines, but moving the buildings back in place was more important for me right now than focusing on I had to demolish a lot anyway, so it's like there was always going to be some inclines kind of left behind. And as I said earlier, the demolishing of inclines and the moving of villagers onto the beach or moving them into a different spot on the island didn't take nearly as long as when I was adding inclines back, because that I had to add in just as many back, and that at that point I already had all the terraforming completed, already done. So adding them in was just like grueling. There was nothing else to do except for adding them back in and time traveling, which was a little bit disheartening. But thankfully I could see the light at the end of the tunnel at that point. Right now I'm fresh. I'm fresh as a daisy. This is the first session of me recording. But with everything in making this video, not just the making of it as in the editing, but also this whole recording thing, and even this very voiceover that I'm doing right now, I have to take it in little chunks. Otherwise, I will burn myself out, and nobody wants that. So I was just planning out where I want the inclines to go here, and then where I want Nook's Cranny to go as well. This first day, I think I recorded for about 3 hours, so it wasn't too terrible, honestly. And then the next session, like I said, I recorded for 6 hours, so that was kind of a long haul. But it was a Sunday, and I just felt like spacing out and doing nothing, so it's always a good fun time just to like get your head stuck into it and keep on going. Next, we're cleaning out the little canal area because I want to mark out the terraforming there. This one took a little bit to get organized because I had a lot of buildings and inclines and just like structural stuff in this area, but I do want to put a villager's house here. And originally, like you saw, I just picked up Eunice's house plot. I thought I wanted Eunice to go here, but it ended up not working out to place her down in this area today because of that incline that I keep going up and down. So ended up placing her on the beach, and eventually Jitters will kind of go in this area. And I think it works better because there will be a large area of just like flat land next to his house where I can put a cafe. And on Glenny, I actually had a cafe in this exact area, so it's going to be perfect. I don't know if it's too much, if it's like, oh, I'm just trying to relive my past island. I don't really care, because like at the end of the day, it's my island. I can do whatever the heck I want with it. But still, I felt like, I don't know, maybe it's strange for me to be this nostalgic about an Animal Crossing island and try to recreate it, especially because it's my first. It's kind of like an old guy trying to remember his college football days or something. Back in my glory days of college football. But that was what I got to on my first day, and let's go to real-time Taya for an update. Hello everyone, good morning. My voice is still a little morning-ish. Is it morning? It's 11:41. I'm having my second coffee, almost done. Let's just look at the map really quick for a second, just so I can show you like how different it is. For reference, this is where we started, this is where we're at. So the transformation is coming along pretty well. Still no moving bubbles, no moving thought bubbles. 6 buildings are in place where they need to be: my house, Nook's Cranny, and the museum, and 3 villager homes. So today I'm hoping to get several more villager homes moved and into place where they need to be. I haven't started adding in inclines again, but I think I'm gonna have to start doing that very soon, because like north of the museum is pretty much gonna be 2nd level, 3rd level. That's the beautiful thing about this map that I've created, this map that I had for granola, is that it was very tall. It was very vertical, which I like. So that is what it's looking like. Let me just run over here. As you can see, I've started building up the terraforming, because this is actually where the terraforming is going to go to 2nd level, and then the next bridge is going to be pretty much, actually, the next bridge is going to be in the exact same position, but on the 2nd level. So that's kind of perfect, actually. I'm just building up this little tiny strip so that I can mark out where I want the bridge to go. My island has just been a joy to get around on after all of this, but I am having a lot of fun with it. And then lined up with the river, which will mean that the spacing stays perfectly intact from what it was before, which is what I like. Anyways, I just wanted to like say hello and kind of like come back on screen for a second, because this process is long and I'm hoping to share as much of it as possible with you. Anyways, let's get into it. Heyo, it's voiceover Taya once more, and we're building up terraforming behind where the museum area is. This is all going to actually be 3rd level, mostly back here, and I'm checking the map pretty frequently to make sure that I'm getting the spacing right, because this part will connect back to the office area eventually, and that's where my house will go. So making sure that I get the spacing on that is pretty important. I mean, all of the spacing is pretty important. Even though I end up changing it ever so slightly, when I'm adding back in houses and inclines and that kind of thing, I kind of realized some of the spacing that I had planned in the map portion didn't really work out. But I mean, that's par for the course, I guess. And I know I've talked about this already in the video, but I think this is a part that I didn't underestimate it when I was thinking about having a forever island. I still considered the fact that at some point I was gonna have to tear it down and like build a different version of the island and like get all my villagers kicked out and rebuild it from scratch and tear everything down. But I don't think I really fully considered how involved that is, and it is something to think about when you want to do a forever island. I will say it's been so fun and satisfying, especially going in to build after, because I've done a couple builds since doing this now because it's taken me so long to get this video up, and it is nice to have a full storage full of a whole entire island's worth of items. And of course I did have to do that whole clear out where I took out just under 1,000 items. I started at about 4,500 items and I cleared it down to like 3,000. So that is a really important part to consider when you're thinking about starting a forever island, and how are you going to do the transition of themes. Originally, I really did want to do like a tiered takedown where I was taking down part of my island and then rebuilding it, but it's actually really hard to do that because in order to do that, you are going to break some paths. You're going to break the functionality of some areas. You're going to be moving villager homes around. It's honestly better to make the new map and then use whatever terraforming you have in place to help you out. So you're not flattening down the entire island if you don't need to. Like this whole area of the coffee cup, of course, that's going to be second level and third level in some places. So I'm not going to take it down to the ground because that's demoralizing. But I will say, because a lot of this first version of Coffee Core Granola was on the ground floor, I did get away from removing a lot of custom designs because look at this, like I'm literally just covering them with terraforming. So they're getting deleted either way. So I think if whenever I want to change the island significantly, I just either take it down to the ground or build it back up again, maybe I can get away with never having to kick away paths. The next version of this island is definitely going to be like Red Romance, I'm calling it. So I'm pretty excited to just rework this island into like something kind of cute and cozy and romantic. But for now, we're doing Coffee Core and I'm really excited about it. I've decorated, yeah, like around my house. I made a small post office. I've made a small like workshop area that I'm excited to share. Maybe those videos might have even come out before this video is finished. I think, yeah, the post office one is already out as of when I'm recording this. So yeah, this was actually right now where I am terraforming. I was starting to feel like very highly motivated, like, oh my God, I've gotten so much done. And then when I looked back to that cul-de-sac area, I was like, that's all gotta be third level. So it was a tad demoralizing, but I mean, I go through phases throughout this whole build because it was a long process. Oh my God, look at this bee. And not even like 5 minutes later, I get stung by another bee, but it's on a different day, so I didn't pass out, which is kind of the bees to just give me one a day. That's totally fine. So yeah, all in all, I would recommend if somebody's starting a forever island to just prioritize getting the terraforming in place. Even if you don't have all your villagers that you want, or like you're kind of stuck on the theme previously and you don't really feel like changing it over, just start tearing your island down. Hey, I've saved it as a dream address. Like, remind yourself, like, it's saved down as a dream address. If you want to make like a little video tour of it just for your own like posterity, I highly recommend that. I mean, just as somebody who's had many islands, even just having them in video form to look back on and to go back to like my little final montages is enough. And even this video here is a documentation of, hey, this was what granola looked like before I tore it down. And really now I have like 2 versions of Coffee Core kind of built up because I decided to just be vindictive and tear the whole thing down. Starting from a clean slate, that's kind of what you are looking for when you're restarting your island, right? You're looking for that totally clean slate. And to be honest, that can't be replicated when you're doing a forever island because the villagers themselves are so much easier to get when you're starting from zero because you're just putting down plots and searching for villagers. I took a little bit of an aside to work on the museum area because I wanted to put down this like memorial garden right in front of the museum. In hindsight, I'm not like 100% a fan of it, but I did put it down here for now and it's a good temporary spot for it to be. And yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with terraforming projects. Like, I don't really get demoralized by doing a large amount of terraforming if I know what I'm working towards. If I know that I'm working towards like, hey, I want to put this build here and I want to put that build here and I'm building it up in a way that is going to make it easier for myself in the future, I can do a large amount of terraforming. It's just when I don't exactly know what the purpose is and I'm just terraforming for the sake of it or like flattening for the sake of it, that's when I start to get a little bit like irritable about it. But the villagers, man, that's what's getting me. Like the villagers and not having them just easy to get. Like there's always going to be one villager, even when you're starting an island from scratch. Like maybe your sisterly Flo doesn't want to ask to move out, or you autofill accidentally, irritating as heck. But man, having 3 villagers that are just like, I'm comfortable here, I don't want to leave. Like, it's so annoying. Like, the amount that I've time traveled to get them gone is crazy. And right now I'm trying to move the Able sisters, so I have to build up 3 levels. So I'm getting this first level of terraforming in the second level, I guess you would say. And then I'm building the 3rd level on top of that so that I can place Able sisters down, but I'm not trying to be perfect about it either. I just need a big enough space so that I can put their building down. And I want to make sure that I'm getting this spacing right at least so that I can place their place accurately. And somehow I was counting in my head and I knew that this corner that I just marked down there is the corner, the front right corner of where I wanted Able sisters, or front left. I think maybe front left, but I was counting so that I knew exactly where it was. But in hindsight, I'm like, that looks so random. I just climbed up onto a cliff, put down one custom design and was like, okay, let's move it. Yeah, that's the left, the bottom left corner, I believe. We'll see in just mere moments, folks. Through the power of editing, we will see me add in. Oh, it was the bottom left. Yeah. No, bottom right. Oh my god, why am I speculating? We're literally gonna see in 2 seconds when I go up the cliff. I'm in as much suspense as you are, folks. What corner will it be? Place your bets now. And I'm making sure that it's lining up, even though I'm having like the hardest time ever to figure out how to line these places up. Looking again at the terraforming. The suspense is killing me. I'm going in, I'm demolishing that one incline so that I can actually complete that area. It's so weird that it's like just a random incline destroyed. Oh, bottom right it is, folks. Bottom right it is. And do I time travel right away? Yes, I do. Next day. This is the next day, everybody, filling in where I had that weird incline forever. The gap can finally be closed. And there's very little that I can do to avoid destroying the cul-de-sac at this point. I'm really closing in on it with all my terraforming, building from the front to the back. And there goes the park, everybody. The park and the construction area are going to be soon closed off, never to be seen again until I rebuild them, which I am very excited to rebuild those areas. But we're going in again with more 3rd level. It was weird that I actually went in to build the 3rd level before completing all the 2nd level area. But I did want to plan out where there's going to be a little river on this 3rd level with a bridge across it. And for some reason, I found that to be an important thing to think about before I had even done the 2nd level of terraforming. And this little bridge area too, I really wanted to get it finished because it felt like such a cool area, but there were so many bridges and inclines to demolish in this area. And I mean, I think this was kind of me procrastinating demolishing the cul-de-sac because I just didn't feel like it at this point. I have a question for the chronic restarters. If you have restarted your island, oh, there's the other bee. If you've restarted your island, I would say upwards of 3 times, or yeah, upwards of 3 times before you've finished an island and like posted a final dream address. If you've done that, I think I would recommend the next time that you're feeling vindictive about the island, just tear it all down. it's so satisfying. And not that like I was angry with Granola or its residents. I was just like frustrated at the progress that I had made and like kind of unhappy with some of the builds and like the placement of the builds. So yeah, just demolish things and re-terraform them like crazy. Why not? Right? Your villagers will have an exciting time. They're living on the beach for a couple weeks while you figure your crap out. It's beautiful. Everybody wins, and they get a completely remodeled and very empty island. And you know what villagers like? They like open spaces. This was me time traveling multiple days just to get people out of the way and move everybody out of that little cul-de-sac area so that I could demolish it, which was kind of sad to be removing everybody from the cul-de-sac, but it needed to be done. It absolutely needed to be done. So I did Buzz, Anacotti, Jitters, and then I'm moving Bee as well. And it felt good. It felt good to just get everybody out of the way so that I could work on that area. Plus, it all needed to be second level too, so yep, this is the final one, and then I think we get back into some terraforming. There's B. And while I was moving all of these houses around, I was demolishing inclines and bridges, specifically around the little canal area, so I'm rebuilding that back up again. And this is one of my favorite areas that I ended up rebuilding just because it makes so much more sense to have a canal that kind of like connects up to a third level. It just feels so nice. And I do end up fixing that canal to be 5 tiles wide, but originally when I go to the second level, I make it 4 tiles wide because of my little like indents for trees. In thinking about it more, I feel like having the little bump outs for trees and having the terraforming go up a level before continuing with the canal, it just makes it work better for the curvature that is naturally in Animal Crossing. Like naturally in Animal Crossing, you can't see if you've done 3 or 4 bridges in a row, but if they are on the next level up, you will kind of see them because they're higher and you'll just be able to look across and see 3 at a time. And I think you can even see in the final version the 4th one like up on the 3rd level too, so it kind of worked out perfectly. If you have watched to this point in the video, you're my favorite person. I'm not even joking. Like, if you're watching this deep into the terraforming portion, I want to know, what are you doing while you're watching this? Because you can't just be watching this. I mean, you could, and bless your sweet, amazing heart, but you're probably working on something else or doing some laundry and that kind of thing. I find it so satisfying though, even just watching this footage back. At this point, I've watched this footage back. I spent the time doing it. I've watched this footage back maybe 3 or 4 times while editing it, making sure that I'm not doing it too fast, cutting out a lot of like little moments where I'm just standing there for no reason. Probably missed some at this point. And now I'm watching it back again to just for one more time, and then I'm probably gonna have to watch it back again after I do the voiceover to put music in, and then I'm gonna have to watch it back again to make sure I didn't miss anything, and maybe I'll have to watch it back another time. Oh, did I just get I demoralized myself just now by talking about how many times I'm gonna have to rewatch this video again. But that being said, like all I'm saying is that even I find it very interesting, a process. And if I can watch it back that many times and not get sick of myself, then I'm sure somebody else will enjoy it as well. It's fascinating, isn't it? And it just makes me so excited for this island. Like, every time I watch it back, I think and I remember so vividly laying awake at night, thinking about, dreaming about my perfect island map. And this was it. Like, when I was doing Glenny, I would literally wake up in the morning still laying in bed thinking, I wonder how I'm gonna deal with that one area On the left-hand side of my island, do I want to do another build there? Do I have room for villager houses? I would love to have 2 villager houses back there. And then what if I can fit another 2 to the left? Like, honestly, I would just be daydreaming about the island flow and like how I would run through it and what's the best path. Like, imagining myself, oh, and then let's see, you can do a circle in the island like this, or you can, it has a perfect clear line from Nook's Cranny to my house, that kind of thing. And here I'm using some terraforming to count some blocks out, and I realized that I need to make it 1 more square just so that I can have an even bridge right in the center of this terraforming area. I don't think I have much more that I can procrastinate on before I'm going down and tearing down that cul-de-sac, though. I don't know why I'm hyping that up so much, because I'm just so fascinated by the fact that I can feel my procrastination on that area. I can feel how attached I am to it just based on the fact that I've already moved all of their houses out of there. And yet I'm still working on other things to avoid working on that area. Here's my patented 3-strike move to advance my terraforming along. I kind of did it sloppy on that part. But anyways, turning in a circle to get each bit of terraforming rebuilt is a classic tayah move. I feel like as I'm watching this back, I'm getting some kind of weird insight into the way that my brain works, but it's really just nonsense. It's like when you are trying to analyze someone who's doing something completely nonsensical. Like, I'm trying to get inside the head of a mukbanger right now and be like, what are they thinking about? I wonder if their dad really loved them as a child or something. Like, what's the chaotic pattern? Like, why do I grab things in a certain way, and like, why do I check my pockets at such odd times? Like, can you not keep in your mind how many items you've picked up and how much space you had left in your pocket? Nope. Have to recheck every 5 seconds. Have to, like, when I put something away, I can't often come back to the same exact area and keep working on it. I have to like change the area again. But taking down this shopping district was quite satisfying. I don't know what it is about having a vertical shopping district. It just didn't really work for me. Also, having the shopping district on an extreme of the island, like on an area far away from resident services and far away from my home, it always felt strange to me to have it out in kind of like the middle of nowhere on the bottom left of my island. Like, that was the only thing I was coming over to this area for. There wasn't very many other villager houses over here or like things that I needed to do. So, I mean, in my new map, I placed the resident services, like Nook's Cranny and Able Sisters are between my house and resident services. So it's kind of like the natural flow of the day is to walk past those islands is to walk past those buildings at some point and interact with them, or see that Able Sisters is open and, oh, I haven't gone there yet. So it's just kind of like an easier path for my dailies, and I'm excited to give you the final tour of this at the end of this video here, so that you can see how well it flows. Like, there really isn't very much backtracking when you're touring this island or you're just walking around it. It's just like you see all of the areas without really trying, and there's many different ways to get to where you want to go, which was part of my thought process when I was planning out this island layout. Now, after I make an island with this layout, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to change Granola from this point on as far as like island layouts go, because I truly believe that this is my favorite. Whether it's the best that I've seen, I don't know, but it's definitely my favorite for like a town core kind of vibe. I think that people really underestimate using second and third level terraforming on your island. It can make it feel bigger, even though it's time consuming to add in all that terraforming for sure. Like, even if this was an island that was starting out with the typical island terraforming that you start out with in Animal Crossing, it would still, and it did, take a long time for me to build it up like this, but I really love it. Like, I don't know how else to say it. How many ways can I say, I really like this guys, I think I really like this terraform. I think I'm really starting to like this terraforming, like, all the time. But it's true. Also, this office, I tore it down so fast, it felt like criminal how quickly this office was demolished. Just furniture items, like I was saying before, when it's just furniture items and no plants or trees, it really comes down quick. I feel like I'm being a salesperson for demolishing your island. Like, I feel every sentence that I say, I'm just like, am I trying to sell this to somebody? Yeah. I think it's amazing. Tear down your island today. You've never felt more free and more alive. The amount of freedom and aliveness that I feel in doing this, it's an amazing drug, folks. Don't do drugs. Take down your entire Animal Crossing island instead. Don't drink alcohol. Try building up your island over weeks and months and then tearing it down in a vindictive rage over the course of 5 days. And then editing that into a very long YouTube video that you'll be so thankful when people watch, and that you hope that they leave a like and a comment, because it would really help out the channel. And if you're not subscribed already, that would be crazy to watch this video. It would be crazy to watch this whole video and to not be subscribed. That would blow my brain. That would blow my brain. That'd be crazy. Anyways, this area I did struggle a little bit with, because I wanted the campsite to be over here, and I couldn't tell how much terraforming I wanted to delete, how much I wanted to leave there. I think I end up just leaving like 2 or 3 little strips here. I think I end up removing one of those anyways, but I wanted enough room for a proper campsite area here to the right of where I'm standing right now. And you can see at the back there all of my little dropped branches, and I will be removing those drop branches and placing them down behind the terraforming that I'm going to be building in the future. Also, there's another area. Oh, finally time for the cul-de-sac. Let's go. Woo, woo, woo. There will be an area where I've dug all my fossils and placed them so that I don't get new fossils spawning as well. For those of you who didn't know, if you don't want to have branches dropping on your island, after you've collected enough, then you can drop 15 somewhere hidden on your island and they won't spawn anymore. You can also plant 6 fossils and 2 gyroids somewhere on your island so that you don't get those things spawning every day once you've collected all the ones that you want to collect. I have not collected all the gyroids that I want to collect. I was looking through a list recently and thinking I should probably let gyroids spawn on my island from now on because they are cute and I would like to build up a collection of like all the different colors. I just had a thought. Can you customize gyroids like with a customization kit? That feels wrong. They feel like they should be a little bit more sentient than that, but maybe you can. I do have quite a few on granola, but I don't think I have all of the colors, and that'd be kind of a fun thing. Do I really want to use them all on my island? Not really, but I mean, it might be fun. It could be fun though, to have just like kind of a full collection of gyroids in my storage or something stupid. Oh yeah, and it's snowing, which is funny. By the time we get through this, we do time travel fully into a snowy time, and then I time travel back at one point because I'm like, this is too much. I can't deal with this snow. Taking a little aside to remove all of this in-game pathing and picking up a bottle. Taya, why didn't you cut that? I need some water, guys, and I think I'm going to be going on to day 3 of doing this voiceover. Are you watching this video in sections? I would be. Pausing it, going to get a coffee, keeping it on in the background. This is where I do want to have... Actually, I don't think I want the farm to be here. I think I want the farm to be near the secret beach. On the left-hand side of the island. Pretty sure. Day 3 of the voiceover. So anyways, talking about the farm area that I want to put beside the secret beach, that is 100% where I want to put it. And I also want to put Buzz and Bee's houses there. I'm only realizing that now. I didn't place their houses accordingly to that new plan that I'm just developing now, but I will probably make an apiary next to Buzz and Bee's, a little apple orchard, or just an orchard in general, and then an area for actually gardening and produce creation? Produce creation. I've been trying to think about where the existing builds on the first version of Coffee Core Granola will live on the second version, the Glenified version of granola, and the biggest one that I want to figure out is where the library will go. The library, the school, and the office builds. And I have a pretty good idea of where I want those to live and which villagers I want to have be responsible for them. But it is super exciting to kind of like reimagine it. And every version of granola, I kind of rework my favorite builds and ditch the ones that didn't bring me as much joy. Like the apiary is like, when I made it, it was such a small build on Retirement Forest granola, and I cannot let it go. I am absolutely obsessed with it. It's so funny and silly that I'm just like, no, this has to live on. The yoga beach has to live on. We can't just delete that. It can't just go into the void forever. So maybe down the line we'll have some kind of perfectly assembled island. Like all of my favorite builds will be there and I'll just rework them until it's the perfect island layout and the perfect island builds. Just keep on refining and refining. I mean, that's the joy of having a forever island. Even just saying, hey, this is my forever island of granola. It's like, this one is the one that I will continuously seek to improve upon and not just say, okay, this is the final version, save it, get rid of it. I am considering letting granola go into the winter. Like now that I've terraformed it and gotten everything the way that I want, I am considering like building up Coffee Core granola in real time, but no, I'm second guessing that. I'm backtracking right now. I do need to play a little bit in real time because there are critters that I need for the museum that I want to be able to get during the winter. The winter is just so depressing though. Like even just seeing the sky get gray and the snow falling here is making me feel freezing cold. Am I cold in real life? I'm wearing a sweater and socks, and I feel like I shouldn't be cold right now, but I think it's just thinking more about winter is making me feel chilly. And here I'm trying to do my little 3-year pattern that I was talking about before, but I didn't really clearly illustrate. And it's basically filling in the 2 spots beside you and then filling in the spot where you were just standing, because then you're just doing a little spin. You're just spinning around in the exact same spot. And it just makes it a little bit less likely that you'll make a mistake in the terraforming, and it's faster because you're not really moving your character a lot and you're hitting all the sides around your character. So I do find it to be slightly faster, and it's kind of satisfying, especially in this large area, because I just go for it and do this pattern continuously. I listen to so many podcast episodes, and I will say mindlessly terraforming and taking down the island was a really good rest for my burnt out brain. Like I was starting to feel a little bit like, am I really gonna finish this island right now and just be done with it, and I'm not even 100% happy with it? That kind of sucks. Whereas taking some time to just be like, nope, I'm tearing it all down, I'm reworking it. I had a map in mind that I wanted to recreate. Like, it's no shame to be recreating something that you loved from a previous island. Like, if there are builds that you loved on a previous island, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Make something that you like, and it shows. Like, when you're working on something that you truly enjoy working on, there's no greater, like, draw that people get towards you, because it just shows that you like doing it. Like, have you ever listened to a podcast and you can tell that people are just putting in the time? They're just like showing up and doing it. And there's a time and place for that too. Like maybe you just need to hit a certain quota, but your heart's really not in it. But I would say you can tell when somebody's heart is in it all the way, and it's so inspiring to just be able to like get that energy from somebody. And I feel like before I did this, I was just like putting in the time. I just had a thought, like, you know how writers are like, the pen is my sword, but what about Animal Crossing creators? The island is my sword. Like, it's so weird to be like, this is my creative passion, creating Animal Crossing islands, but like, F you, it is. And by F you, I mean F the person that's saying that in my brain, which is just me mocking myself for being like, would a depressed person be able to make this? Like from Parks and Rec? Oh, we had a campsite visitor. It was Cube. Man, the speed at which, I know this is like sped up footage, but I was like, I'm out. I actually really liked Cube at one point. Like before I got the game, I saw pictures of Cube and I was like, he's so cute. And then I saw all the other villagers that you could have and I was like, he's just okay and kind of scary with those little plus sign eyes. We're moving the apiary finally. This build is so funny. Like I'm trying to think of other builds that have been around since Granola. Like pretty much all of the beaches are original to the first version of Granola, Retirement Forest. The duck pond, even though I slowly chip away at the duck pond until it's a mere shadow of itself, but this apiary, I tried to like, I don't know why I actually tried to get the flowers to match nicely and to arrange it in some sort of pattern, but I just end up putting like the little beehives all along the back and little honeybee models everywhere. It's, I don't know, like, look at me digging up the flowers trying to make a nice pattern for who? For me, I guess. This isn't even the final resting place for this build. It's just a temporary spot to kind of hold it that I knew I wouldn't be interacting with for a while. And I did briefly consider making the bee area, the apiary, a little walking trail. So it's like paths in between, kind of like what I did on Chibi Moon with that path leading up to the wedding area, but making that into an apiary. So I should actually look back at all the islands that I've made in the past and pick one little build from each of them to like combine into a mega island or bring them onto Granola. Like, what's my favorite build from Papagayo? Like, I cannot even, well, probably the volcano, but I'm not gonna put a volcano on Granola. But there was like a nice land bridge area up to like a treehouse for Elise. Not Elise, Shari. Man, Elise is infecting my brain to such a degree that I just think of her when I think about any other monkey villager. She really needs to go. Like, she's the one that's kind of like a plague on this island. I love her. Like, don't get me wrong. I really love Elise. There was someone at one point who said, "Ew, you have Elise on your island? She's so ugly. Get rid of her." And I was like, what? Ouch. Holy moly. And at that point, I hadn't even finished Retirement Forest, so that was a pretty bold things to say. Look at all that second level terraforming. That is crazy. And I'm really glad that I took like progress shots all the way through. Although I did time travel slightly, so it's kind of hard to say like the exact order. I'll have to go through and actually edit and put them together in like a GIF or something. I did that for Papagayo actually, and then I never did it for another island after that. See, here I'm coming back to this exact same area and arranging it again, and I think I even add back, oh, we have snow. I think I even add one more strip back to that. Here I am realizing that the river has to be 5 tiles wide. And tell me why I went around that terraforming to get down to this level. But yeah, it's snowy on Granola now. And I think I end up getting stung by bees pretty soon. Coming up here. I can't remember if this is the time where I get stung by bees and I actually successfully make it to the museum against all odds. It was crazy. They chased me for so long. No, it's not. It's down in that area by the pond. If you see me hitting trees down there, you know it's coming soon. Something about chopping trees in the winter just feels so right. Like I'm collecting firewood for my family. I'm collecting firewood to bring back to the old cabin. It does feel somewhat sad to take down this foresty area, but I did make it way too large, and I think that that's been a pitfall recently in planning islands. I got really into like just designing maps for islands, and it can be fun too, but I think I tend to make the builds really big. I just put it together on Funfetti. All of the builds were so big, it was like really fast for me to make an island. So I was like, well, going forward, I'll just make all the builds huge. Forgetting that I actually am a really big fan of small things, like small little builds and little areas. I feel like add so much character to your island. And yes, it takes longer to build. If you're only building like 10 spaces at a time, it's going to take a lot longer to build than if you build like 100 spaces. But I think it adds more character to your island and it makes it more fun to work on. Also, you're able to get the spacing a little bit better, like I was saying, because I have been planning out really giant builds on my island. Sometimes it can be easy to get demoralized when the big build didn't go the way that you wanted to, and connecting two huge builds together is a lot more difficult sometimes than connecting a bunch of small spaces that kind of bleed into each other naturally. And behind this area of terraforming, you saw all of my dug fossils, all of the fossils that are planted there. And I am procrastinating once again because I know that I have to move all of them and build the terraforming all the way to the back of the island, and I'll have to move those fossils up to the 2nd level. But I just don't feel like it, so I'm ignoring it and I'm moving on to this area and building it up. I'm encroaching on the pond, and I continue to encroach upon the pond as I go forward. I love how I said that I needed to make that flower storage a little bit better. I mean, I did remove a lot of the flower types that I know that I'm not going to use, but it's just gotten bigger. And do I need all of these flowers? Maybe not. Actually, probably not. But I'm hoping that I can keep it under, like, just pretty well managed instead of it just getting overdone. I mean, it's already going to be a lot to clean up when the time comes. Seeing it grow over time in this video is kind of terrifying, and I'm seeing my future flash before my eyes. Why didn't I store these flowers on the beach? Who knows? I watched ahead a little bit, and we're coming up on the bee attack. I was clearing up this little coffee bean terraforming, and then I go down, and then the bees really give me a run for the money. Go, little Taya, go! I got a good head start on them though, but they were starting to gain speed, and I cannot even believe that I made it to the museum. But I did, and then I went back. I think that I do hit another tree in the shopping district area. Oh no, right there. But at least I knew the direction I needed to go in that time. Can't catch me. But we are getting so close. I've almost completed doing all of the first level terraforming, which felt like such a big deal. Like when I was working on this, I was like, oh my god, the first level is done. And there was still a lot to do to get that second level of terraforming in. And actually, what am I talking about? The second level of terraforming is almost done. It took a lot more to get the third level in, but we're getting close to the final tour, guys. Only a few more minutes of hearing me talk. And then we get to the longest period of time for me in real time, but the shortest amount of time for you in video format when I'm moving everybody's houses into position and then moving all of the bridges and inclines into position. So I'm only going to share map snippets at that point so that you can kind of follow along with the progress that I made. It's so long from that point on, the time traveling. And even when I was adding in the houses again, I did make slight adjustments to the terraforming so that their houses would fit better, or that the inclines or bridges would fit better. And it was a whole thing. But you can see just how much longer this area, I think it's a little bit bigger than the office space, but you can see how much longer it took me to clear it out because it was a natural area. So I'll say, if you have a natural island, expect for it to take longer for you to do the teardown. If you have something that's a little bit more city-like or even town-like, then it's probably not going to take you as long. And I started tearing down that coffee bean on the left before I realized, oh, a lot of this terraforming is actually going to stay. So, well, we ended up rebuilding a lot of it, but that's better than I would have done if I had torn down this entire island and then tried to rebuild it. But something about me covering over all these little custom design and in-game paths just feels like I'm wiping the slate clean, even the weeds. And I really loved the weeds through this area, but I don't know why, like, it feels so great to just see them be demolished by my building. And yeah, I continued to demolish that bean before realizing, oh my god, I'm just on autopilot. I didn't need to start demolishing that. Time to rebuild. This little area is going to be where Buzz and Bee's houses are up on the second level. And then down, I'm going to have an incline that goes backwards towards the secret beach, where I'm probably going to put like an orchard and a little farm area. I'm so excited for that little space. I don't know. That was one of the areas on Granola that I made different from Glenny because it was kind of a dead area. I had a restaurant up on the third level on Glenny, and I just never really went in there because it was kind of isolated. There was no incline that led to it, and it was cute. It was based off a real life restaurant that I went to in Portugal, but it was just a kind of a dead space. So instead, the secret beach is in a perfect space for me to lead right down to it. On Glenny, I didn't even factor in the secret beach at all. I just kind of had to climb down over to get that in place. And I'm pretty well done all the second level terraforming now. We're just adding a little bit more of a strip here, and then we're going to be into that sweet third level terraforming, which I am very happy that we're through that. I'm also very happy that we're not in winter anymore. That feels amazing. It feels like I just got a breath of fresh air, a breath shot straight to the lungs of fresh, delightful summer, fall, crisp air. What? And I'm finally starting to add back in inclines and villager houses at this point, which feels like a totally different part of the process to be starting to add in those homes. And I wanted to add them in for some reason. Anything that was on the third level, I wanted to get that in place before I did things on the second level. Struggling with the terraforming here a little bit much, mini tayah, blocking myself in from time to time. But it was a pretty relaxing process. Every time I see myself get into one of these little back and forth patterns of 3, I'm like, that was a good time. I was just in the zone. I was loving it. I was doing the math, putting in the time. This little third level is where I'm going to be putting the 2 gossips of the island, the smug and snooty villagers. I will have 3 snooty villagers on this island for final coffee core, but right now we just have 1. So I ended up putting Timbra up here with Kyle, and they're super cute over here. They have a much smaller yard than I had for Zell and Blair when it was Glenny, but I just wanted to recreate that because I thought it was so silly. I gave Zell and Blair a little like table with a coffee mug in the middle to be like, this is where they sit every morning and discuss the island goings on. And this was one of the few patterns that I had to actually wipe away, one of the few areas of paths that survived on the second level. But I'm beginning to mark out where I want people, and I do put Elise and B back here, but I will be ending up changing that to Buzz and B because I think that's just way too cute. I can't stop saying it. Just for progress sake too, I think it was important for me to start adding in these little shapes for all the villager houses, because on the map I could already start to see it coming together and how many areas I needed to put villager houses into. So it helped me to track my progress a little bit more on the map. And one thing that I really did enjoy about Glenny was how much water I had on it, and that I prioritized water terraforming just as much as terraforming on the land, because we only had 8 inclines and 8 bridges when I was working on Glenny. And now I was able to add 2 additional inclines, one down to the secret beach and one right to the left here that I just marked out a couple seconds ago, because this area was a little bit of a dead spot on Glenny, but by putting an incline right there, it will be a lot better of a flow and a lot easier to get to these villager houses. This is where I had Apollo's house at one point. I ended up putting Buzz in that area just because I was thinking, oh, I like Buzz to be in the same place as the cranky villager was on Glenny, but I would much rather him be beside B, and I think it's cute. And we had Red here today. I think I ended up getting a couple of new pieces added to the museum while I was doing all this transformation of the island. I actually only need 5 more pieces for the art section of the Granola Museum, which is absolutely insane to think about. I think I did get 2 new pieces, and I have been checking as well on Fable. Whenever Red comes to Fable, I have been checking that out, and I did bring 1 piece over from Fable that I bought there just because I was like, I have been looking all over for this one sculpture, and yeah, so it's been really good. I feel so excited to have a completed museum eventually. One of the perks of having a forever island, also just having HHP completed and not having to worry about that at all, is really nice. I highly recommend it. Honestly, if somebody has 2 Switches, Elise just being, you know, her own special brand right now, coming into the one little strip of land that I'm at was crazy talk. Anyways, as I was saying, I think I have like 3 or 4 critters left from each of the other categories: bugs, fish, and sea creatures. The fossil area, of course, was the first one to be completed, but I think I'm slightly closer to finishing the bug area. I missed a couple of July beetles, unfortunately. I did get a lot this year, though. I really did haul to complete the museum. And back to the building that I'm doing right now, I'm just outlining the terraforming that I'm going to be doing it, then checking it to make sure that the spacing is what I want it to be, and then going back in and adjusting the overall outline to be a little bit better. And once I've got it the way that I like, I started filling in, and this is literally the final bits of actual terraforming that I need to do, is to fill in this area and to make this little water, kind of like a little moat around this tiny neighborhood area. Was one of my favorite areas on Glenny. I had a snooty and a sisterly villager in this little cutesy neighborhood. I think it ended up being, yeah, Francine and Fuchsia. And I made them like a pink little cutesy neighborhood because their houses really matched, which was part of the reason why I even wanted Francine and Fuchsia, because their houses were cute together back in the day when you couldn't change the house exteriors. Speaking of house exteriors, I recently watched a video tour of a Flintstones island, and all of the houses were the exact same customization on the outside, and I don't know why. That is so satisfying for my brain that I think I might decide on a look for the villager houses on Granola and just make them all the exact same. What do you guys think? I think it'd be pretty fun just to have like a distinctive look for the villager houses. I don't know if I could commit to the bit or if I would get annoyed and forget whose house was whose if they all look the same, but I pretty much go on like where they live, not what their house looks like. So it could be fun. What do you guys think? I think it's a pretty neat concept to just make the island look super uniform, literally play into just having them all be identical. And I'm just realizing now that I actually cut out a pretty giant chunk of terraforming in my footage, but I'm not really going to worry about it. I think you've seen a lot of me filling in little areas, but this is what the map is looking like with all of that outline that I originally created filled in. And here is a little like time lapse of villager houses being put into place, of bridges and inclines being added, so you can start to see everything coming together, slight bits of terraforming being demolished in between. And welcome back to the stage in real time, Tayah, to give you a final tour of Granola. We've done it, folks. Oh boy. Guys, it has been a journey. There is still so much more, of course, to do on this island, but something about this exact terraforming that I had for my first island, I need you to know how Glenny has been reborn. And these three right here need to go. I am gonna have an actual conniption. Frickin' goons hanging out on my island. I'm over it. So let's do a quick tour of the island, shall we? Let's get back to the airport. Speaking of people on my shit list. So yeah, the airport area is totally the same. We've got the bakery that's still here with the peninsula build as well. We do still have the tiki bar. However, there is nobody manning the tiki bar. Oh, a bottle. The tiki bar, I think I will extend over to here. I might even move the main bulk of this tiki bar over there or something. But I do love it. It's still here. And then let's go to the left. Let's go to the left-hand side. As you can see, we still have our little pharmacy, which might move. I'm probably going to put a little post office right over here. Then we have the memorial garden. I put it next to the museum because that's where it was on Granola before. I'm not 100% sold on having it right in front of the museum. I kind of like would want this area to be a little bit more simple. We've got our busker. And then honestly, guys, this is what makes me the most happy. Our refurbished canal build. with a second level bridge back there. This is my favorite, honestly, so far of like the little areas. There are many favorites though. Now I'm feeling already re-energized by this terraforming, but this terraforming makes me so happy from this view. And also if I come up to the next bridge, then we get a cool view as well, because there is the same bridge up on that third level. Look at how cool this is. You can see a little bit of Able Sisters, a little bit of a couple houses up there. I'm obsessed. We have Jitters, of course, right over here, and probably going to give him quite a sizable cafe down here. This bottom left corner is very open, and then we just have the rock garden, which needs to be kind of like not redone. It's going to stay in the exact same spot, but the rock garden does need a new context surrounding it instead of just like stone and ground. We have a little like walkway, forest walkway, and then we come up here, but let's just go down. This walkway, I would like it to be a little bit more wider or something. It's not exactly wide enough to contain a build on its own. Maybe it's fine, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I feel like I want this to be an actual proper area, but it takes away from that down there being more of a proper area, which I probably still will want to have a little duck pond down there and have it be a little more natural, which is why I didn't change it quite yet. Temporarily, this is where my little apiary is. It's just, I just put these items back here to kind of as a placeholder. But we have Buzz's house, and I think I would like, oh my god, I've just spent so much time moving houses around, but I think I would like to move Buzz to be actually beside B back here. Right now I have it being Elise and B, but because Elise is not yet the actual villager that I want her to be, I'm probably going to redo where Buzz's house is anyways, because I think Buzz and B with a little apiary, like that's too cute. I have to do it. I gotta do it. So yeah, I have their houses back there, but we will readdress them as well. Buzz's house, and then you come back over this incline, some empty space here for future builds. And then all the way over here, Nook's Cranny, right up from Resident Services, of course. Resident Services bracketed by 2 double inclines, you know, just super fancy. Looking back towards the back right of the island, this was one of my favorite things about Glenny, was this view, the ability to see just like down several layers, and then also like standing from about here or so, you get this nice view of like across a few different levels with my house in the background and a bridge. I don't know, maybe it was more up here. It's just, it feels nice, you know? Am I just nostalgic for this terraforming? Probably, but it feels great. We then have Able Sisters over here. This area up on the second level is where on Glenny I had my rock garden, but it's also where I had just like a giant park, and I loved that vibe. Like I loved the vibe of having a park up here. We do want to bring back a lot of coffee core builds, so who knows where the library, where the school is going to go and stuff. Now it's B thinking, which is just absolutely crazy and unacceptable. Over this little bridge, we have our little snooty smug neighborhood. So Timbra and Kyle are up here, and they're going to be the gossips. They're going to be the town gossips. That's just the way it is. I don't make the rules. Back down this incline, we have, of course, as I said, B and Elise's house. And then down from there is actually the secret beach area. So now we have enough space to do like a proper farm area. Maybe a little orchard. I'm kind of excited for that little spot back there. I think it's very cute and could be like kind of rural. This was one of my favorite spots on Glenny originally, because I did a nice focal point centerpiece in this neighborhood. I'm gonna make their houses real cute and just a fun little like a little moment. I really like this area. It photographs really nice, so happy about that. And then we have our little promenade, our little, like, you know, place to look at the seaside and come for a walk really up this incline. Very cute. Back across this area is my house. And then you get to the bridge over here that leads back to where that park will be. This area by my house, I had actually another park over here that was like kind of more of a peaceful area, like kind of daydreamy. I think I had like a piano in the middle of the park. And then I have just like a little area for some stuff outside of my house. Incline up, of course. I'm considering breaking through this little area. Because Nook's Cranny is here, and I'd like to be able to get to Nook's Cranny relatively fast from my house, and the easiest way would be to make like a little cutout through this terraforming, but I left it like that for now, especially because I do have an incline coming up to here. This little chunk of terraforming right here might be something that I change, but I do like being able to stand here and get a look out, get a little, you know, viewpoint, which is cute. Who knows if we actually need an incline up to that, or we can just fake it with a ladder. I don't know. But yeah, then we have, of course, Deirdre's house down there. And then we have Eunice's house and the campsite. So that is what my island's terraforming is looking like right now. I can come back down here over the bridge, which is where we started the tour, and have quite a bit of empty space everywhere on my island, which feels like a breath of fresh air. Like having this island a little bit more like a lot more unfinished and kind of as a blank slate is giving me so much life. That is gonna do it for this video. Please remember to give it a like. This took me a hot minute to get finished, and I'm so happy with how it is. If you're excited for the next version of Coffee Core, where I'm gonna be putting these builds, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everybody. This is how I dance to attract a mate.